I'm saying I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it. But now the dream is over, and the insect is awake.
That's right. We watched The Fly this week on The Movie Gap, the podcast that has you scream.
How have you not seen that? 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 Little darling, how have you not seen this? How have you not seen it?
Welcome to The Movie Gap. I am your host, Chase Austin, and as always, the vomiting man who eats his own vomit, because that's how flies eat, to my right. Yes, right. Bryce Perkins.
What it do, baby? What it do? Here we go. I'm here to stay. Barf on my food all day. No, I won't buzz away. I'm the fly, motherfuckers.
I love when you do that when we have a guest, because the guest cannot hear the beat.
Sorry, Scott. I forgot you can't. I was playing a beat behind all that. So,
so we are joined again by fan favorite Scott White. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Bryce
fantastic.
Clearly feeling it with his H-Town flow there.
Yep.
It does sound better with a beat, but I'll let you be the judge of that.
Can't sound any worse.
It's true.
All right. Well, so we wrapped up our spooky, scary October Halloween films 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and now we're right back in it with another horror film.
We extended it,
but this movie, it transcends just regular horror, I think.
True.
It's,
a little bit
with
of sci-fi.
with the Halloween movies, those I like to be more scary, spooky movies. This is scary on a totally different level.
Yes.
So, but before we get into it, Scott, since you're the guest, how have you been, man?
I've been holding up. I've been doing well. I just visited my dad. He's actually going to be, depending on when this comes out, he's either going to be 94 or 95.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he's doing well. I just got back from Michigan, and now we're actually filming this. Unironically, we're filming this a week after the whole VP fly thing.
Yeah.
And it was, and we're not doing this because that happened. We had this planned months in advance.
Yeah, we've been banking on this app for a while. Tuesday.
We're not cashing it.
No, it was
we're
like
not cashing
Tuesday.
it on. Planned on doing this.
Yeah, it was like Tuesday night. You posted or I saw it, or somebody texted me. I can't remember if it was you or Bryce or whatever. They were like, "Did you see the debate?" And then you posted it on Facebook.
Yeah,
that you were watching The Fly for a podcast. You're like, we planned this ahead of time.
Yeah, which was, when I said we were going to watch The Fly, when I told Ash, she was like, oh yeah, you're doing that because of the debate. And I was like, no, look at the post. Go look at the post.
It's been there. It's been chosen. And then, of course, SNL had their own somewhat Fly parody.
They did The Fly.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's impressions now are just him being Jim Carrey at this point.
He did good in the first week. He at least sounded like
Carrey.
Joe Biden.
I don't think he did. I think he just sounded like Jim Carrey.
But this one, he was definitely just Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Well, and then they go, he's gone full Jeff Goldblum. I'm like, no, he hasn't. He put a wig on. He doesn't sound like Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we did pick this ahead of time. We're not following the trend, and that's why it won't come out for a month.
Right. And all of this that we were talking about, the president, the election is even probably going to be happening right around the time this is released, huh?
Yeah, it'll be over.
Yeah, it'll be over.
Oh yeah,
It'll
this was
probably
the
close to
day after the election.
No, this is the second. This will be because Indiana Jones is the first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Indiana
that's right.
Jones was last week, and then
wow.
this week. So we
This will
probably have a new, or this. Yeah, I mean, either way, you're gonna have a new or the same.
be right.
But we probably know who the president will be for the next 4 years at this point.
Yeah,
Then again, you never know.
Do we want to make a prediction? And then when this comes out, have everybody.
Well, guys, I was gonna say, wasn't it amazing? Like, what are the chances that both of them croaked before the election, and now Kamala Harris is in a runoff with Mike Pence? That's how it works, right? If they both die.
No, if they both die, it's still the same
winning
ticket.
the ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, well then.
If one dies or they both die, it's still the same ticket. The only thing is, it could be a straight up tie. And I learned if Veep was true, I don't know if it's true or not, but like if there's a straight up tie in the electoral college or whatever, then it goes to like the Senate, and then or it goes to the House and then the Senate, and then if there's a tie there, it goes to the House. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah,
where
good.
it ends up being.
I completely understand it now. Thank you, Chase. Thanks for clearing that
like
up.
if there's a full on tie, then it doesn't get done by the time of the election.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time of inauguration, then like a whole different runoff thing goes on, and it gets real confusing. So hopefully that won't happen, but
well,
it could
let's
be already
just
happening.
all say congratulations to President. Insert name here. And,
wow, that is bold of you to call the election for insert name here as early as we are recording this.
Well, I just always thought that insert name here would, really just kind of had the best campaign and the best strategy to take it at the electoral college level. So
I'm gonna edit all this
Mhm.
and have you just say Joe Exotic.
Okay, sounds good to
Because
me.
that's still relevant.
Carol Baskins might be in jail by the time this episode comes out with all the smoke, the heat that's coming up around her.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that stuff, Scott?
What is that? The Tiger King?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
That the guy she murdered parents ran ads doing Dancing with the Stars.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
I did not see that.
I saw the first one that the first night she was on there. The guy's parents ran ads just saying like she killed our son, and the investigation is ongoing. She hasn't been so like don't forget this woman killed a man
Yeah.
and fed him to a tiger or whatnot. So, but yeah, I saw that. I was like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. So my week's been going pretty good. Thanks for asking, Chase.
Oh, good. Did you get out and vote, or did you mail in a vote?
It's
No.
Monday.
Yeah, but it's the week since we've last recorded.
I see. Okay.
This is the end of our week. It's a pandemic, It's the new normal. The
It's
new
true.
normal,
I hate
Scott.
I hate that. And the things I hate. The things I hate. When the world stopped, the world didn't stop. The
No.
world adjusted.
Yeah.
And two, we're all in this together. We're not. The rich are just fine. So we're
Yeah.
not all in this together.
Right.
No.
Right. Yeah. And on that note, I did vote. Always find time to vote. So go vote, kids. As P. Diddy once said, vote or die.
Or
of
don't.
course,
I really don't give a
if
shit.
you
vote.
if you don't vote, you will die, as P. Diddy once said.
I've never understood anybody being like, just go vote. Like not having an agenda to it either way. Because it's like, you know what? If you don't want to vote, fuck you. Don't vote.
Well, I went to go vote because I didn't want to die. So
Oh,
I
you
went
were
and
afraid of
voted.
dying.
I was. Yeah. I mean, they fucking.
You
he
voted-
wouldn't lie. He
You
wouldn't
voted
lie.
to live.
Yeah. He wouldn't
Yeah.
lie about that,
Well,
would
there
he?
you go.
So I went and voted, but also been working hard at work on a new fragrance.
Oh, what's this?
It's actually being co-opted by the very star of this movie that we're covering today.
Oh.
So let's run down my list of fragrances I
Okay.
have. I have Essence of Hopper, officially.
Yeah.
I have Odor of Chaz.
Yeah.
That's a deterrent for dogs to not bite things.
Aware.
And then now we have the fragrance of the fly, co-opted by, and he's going to get credit by Goldblum. He's just going by Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking, of course, about Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yeah, from this movie. So be on the lookout for those, for that new one to come out. You should see it on shelves. So, well, you won't see it on shelves. It's not approved by the FDA at all, but you can buy it from my online store. I will ship it to you directly. You will be paying for the shipping, of course.
And it cures COVID too, right?
Not the fly one. There
No,
was
not
one
the
I was
fly one.
working on, but we haven't.
Haven't got
That's
it.
still in the
All
That's
right.
still top secret stuff.
All right. Well, let's get into this film. First of all, Scott, you had seen this film before, correct?
I saw this film in the theaters when it first came out.
There you go. This was
Yes.
what, 86 or 87?
86.
86, yeah. So this was
86. So I would have been 17.
mhm. I did not
And-
see it in theaters. I was not,
Not
born yet.
born.
One
Yep.
more year.
This is one of those few sci-fi horror movies that did well in the theater and well with critics.
Yeah.
It's one of those few ones where both
Hmm.
the critics and the audience both liked them. And it was recognized at the time, unlike movies like The Thing, which was not recognized at the time, but is now considered a classic. This
Yeah.
was considered, this was pretty much considered great right out of the gate by critics and fans.
Yeah, even for the going too far, a lot of people said it went too far, but it didn't. They still appreciated it. So like,
Yes.
I don't know how you
Right, it
go
did
too
gross
far.
a lot of people out, right? Like I knew my dad was not really a fan of this one because he thought it was gross.
Well, just from like Scott's post alone, saying that we watched it, there's a lot of people commenting on it, being like, "Oh, that movie's disgusting," or "Oh, I could only watch that movie once."
Yeah.
But nobody hates it.
Right.
Even my wife, she's like, I wish that it didn't gross me out so much because she loves Gina Davis, she loves Jeff Goldblum.
Uh-huh.
She did watch it before and she loved it, but it's just too much. And she tried watching it with me this time, and she got to the scene where his fingernail falls off, and she was like, I can't. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Right.
Because I was like, when it started to happen, she goes, "Oh, is he gonna throw up?" And I was like, "No, he's not gonna throw up. I think his fingernail's gonna fall off, or maybe his teeth are gonna fall out here." She goes, "Can't do it." But she was, it was still a few scenes away from the teeth falling out.
Right.
But
Here's the one scene, with all the body horror in there. The one scene that I can't watch is the arm wrestling scene where the bone snaps
Oh
out.
yeah.
yeah, that's rough.
I can't watch that.
I
All
did
the
not
other
see that
stuff-
coming.
All the vomiting and the fluids, I can watch that. But that one scene where he's arm wrestling and that bone just snaps out of his arm,
Yeah.
ugh, I can't
Brutal.
watch that.
That is
Brutal.
pretty. It's like we were talking about. We did Misery a few weeks ago. And
Oh,
the
yeah, the
hobbling scene
hobbling.
in that is.
You seen that,
rough.
right, Scott?
Yeah, I've seen Misery.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, so Scott, you've seen this movie before any of us even could. Had you seen the Vincent Price original? I see you're wearing the shirt right now.
Yes, I have. I've
Cool.
seen the Vincent Price original and the Return of the Fly. I've seen all the Fly movies.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
I've seen all of them, and I don't. And people say this movie. This is one of the few movies. The remake is better than the original.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's fair because the original, it's a sci-fi movie, but it's really a kitchen sink drama
hmm
where the whole this guy, the scientist, it's sort of like a family being torn apart, like the husband is cheating on the wife. Only the reason they're getting torn apart is he's now a giant fly.
Yeah, because isn't it
Um,
like his? It turns out that his head just was switched with a fly, or something.
His head and his arm were
yeah,
switched with a fly.
yeah.
and he still had his mental faculties. They were deteriorating, but he still had them. But it's really just a family drama, and how this family is dealing with it.
Huh.
Which
so
this one,
they're two different movies.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and this one tackles, disease in that same sort of way. It's sort of Cronenberg always thought of it as about like cancer, disease, and more specifically just aging in general. It also came out. Well, we'll get into this. Hold on. Before we get into it, Bryce.
Yes.
You have not seen this movie.
That is correct.
You had not seen this movie.
Correct.
What did you know about it going in?
I knew that it was Jeff Goldblum starring in it, and that it was kind of like his breakout acting role, if you will, even though he didn't really do much until Jurassic Park. From then until then, I don't know. I knew it was one of his bigger movies, and it was when he was younger, and that I knew that I should be prepared to see some gross shit. That's about all I really knew. I forgot Gina Davis was in it.
It's not a ton that you knew about it, but honestly, more than you've known about several movies.
That's true. I did this. I mean, like Scott said, though. I mean, this movie was. I mean, it's a well-known movie, and it was, very much talked about from the time it came out, and so it was one that I had heard of, and
yeah. And now watching it,
adjacent to knowing about.
I was wondering about this. Watching it, was it similar to like Jaws and some of the other ones where there were things in it that you're like, oh, I know about that, but you didn't know where it came from?
So one of my biggest questions was, or about this, still is, and I know that you guys will be able to answer this for me. Is when she says, "Be afraid, be very afraid."
That's this movie.
That's from this movie.
That's from this movie. That's actually, Scott, I don't know if you know this, but you probably do. That line is actually from Mel Brooks.
In what way?
He wrote it. Like he told. So Mel Brooks
produced this movie.
Yeah. Mel Brooks was a producer
I did
on
not
this
know
film.
that. Wow.
He tried to keep it. I know he tried to keep it a secret. As much as possible because he thought people would not take it seriously if his name was attached.
Right.
But the line "Be afraid, be very afraid" was actually invented by Mel Brooks because they were discussing, him and Cronenberg were discussing how the characters should react to Seth's transformation. And he said they should be afraid, be very afraid. And so he took it and put it in the
that's
movie.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not from the original.
No, there is a line from the original that's used in there, and that is "Help me, help me."
Okay, so that was another one that I had a question about, the "help me" thing. But I thought that he was going to say it at the end when he, suggests that she should old yeller him.
Yeah, and in the original one, you want to go ahead and take that one, Scott, where it is in the original?
In the original one, it's, and this is a bit. In the original one, they find the fly with the human head, and it's wrapped up in a spider web, and a spider is about to kill it. So you just hear this "Help me!" Help me!
Yeah.
It's this tiny voice.
Yeah,
and it's just that it could have been a really silly scene, but it's done so well, and it's shot well that it's quite jarring.
Oh, okay.
And then Vincent Price takes a rock, not Vincent Price, but another character, and just crushes the fly with the human head.
Ooh.
Because he's about to be eaten by a spider.
Yeah.
Or whatever the spiders do.
Yeah.
Suck them dry.
Suck them from the inside.
Suck them dry. But I remember in the Jeff Goldblum movie, he says, "Help me, please help me." And while he does that, Gina Davis hugs him after he just vomited.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that in the theater, and that movie was drowned out because when she hugged him, everybody was like, "Oh!"
That's funny.
So one of the most iconic lines was drowned out
because
people were grossed
by people.
Because people were because he just vomited on his shirt, and she leaned in and hugged him.
Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah, I could see how this film is almost better watching it by yourself because the pacing is not built around the I don't know, scares or gags, you know, where like they just happen. You know, it's not like, oh, you're getting ready, like his ear falls off and now you have time to be afraid of it,
Right.
or react to it. Like she reacts to it the same way the audience does. They're like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah.
and he keeps going.
Yeah.
So like if the audience keeps talking or you know, reacting to everything in like that big way, you're gonna miss a lot of the more intimate moments of the film.
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
But that being said, this would be an awesome like double feature with like at a drive-in with like the original Alien, like Alien and then this.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that would be great. That's a good idea.
To me, the worst kind of horror is body horror.
Yeah.
And the worst kind of body horror is slow body horror, where he just doesn't, like in the original, he goes through one and he's transformed. It's all done at once.
Yeah.
It's not a gradual transformation. To be gradually you know, when he's sitting on the tub and he's like, am I dying? Is this the beginning of it? The fact that you're falling apart, and I guess that goes back to age.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, it's like you're gradually falling apart, and
his mind is slowly declining too. Like, yeah. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was really smart to do it like that. And then, of course, the effects crew did an amazing job at showing the gradual change.
All the stages.
And the director, who directed this again?
David Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg.
Cronenberg. Well, what else has he done? Why does that name sound familiar?
Well, he's very famous.
Scanners.
Yeah, he's very famous for body horror and real fucked up things in general. Let's see if you've seen any of his films. I'm guessing they will all be on the list.
Okay.
Scanners, as Scott just said.
Videodrome.
Videodrome is a great one.
Nope.
What's another good one that he did? He did The Dead Zone. I didn't realize that.
I haven't seen that.
Dead Ringers, Naked Lunch. He did Crash, not the one that you're thinking of. So you haven't seen that one either. History of Violence and Eastern Promises. You've seen those.
Nope.
Those are not horror. You haven't seen those? God. I could have sworn you've seen those.
Why are you surprised?
I just think that I feel like we've talked about them, but I guess that's...
Not me.
Well, what other friend do I have that I would have talked to about this? Anyway, he's this is probably his like crowning achievement, I think.
Yeah.
Scanners is fucking awesome. Videodrome is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naked Lunch is real weird.
Well, I mean, if this movie's any indication of
Burroughs.
What was that?
Naked Lunch. That's based on William S. Burroughs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If this movie's any indication of how good he is, then that's a good sign, you know. I imagine I'd enjoy watching those other movies you just listed.
Yeah, Scanners you've seen at least GIFs of. Like
I think so. Scanners is the most familiar of those.
It's got
that you
heads
just
blowing
listed.
up.
Yeah.
So, but I did not realize he directed that Christopher Walken Dead Zone. That's pretty good too. Stephen King.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, we're already kind of into it here. So, why don't we get into your notes and go from there?
Well, I had a legitimate notes journey on, or I have a legitimate notes journey on this one.
Does it have to do with Gina Davis?
Yes.
And how you don't know who she is?
No. Wait, why? Did I say I don't know who she is before?
Well, you who was it? You said you got her confused with Susan Sarandon.
No, that's Sigourney Weaver. Beaver.
You get her
Susan Sarandon.
You get Sigourney Weaver and
Susan Sarandon mixed up.
Oh, that's weird. I thought
it
you
is
got
weird.
Sigourney Weaver and
No.
Now,
Gina
Susan-
Davis, I always knew who Gina Davis was.
okay, Gina Davis and Sigourney Weaver. I could see getting more confused than. Now I'm confused. All right, so go ahead with your notes. Here.
The notes journey, started kind of in the middle of the movie, but I'll
you'll
let
get
you
to
know
it.
when
You'll
I get to it.
Okay.
But I do have one.
All right.
So just so you know, just prepping you for that. I didn't know this movie was a remake. I really love how quickly the movie moves.
It jumps.
I had
it
to
gets right into it.
fucking like press up on the thing and make sure I didn't accidentally
Skip.
fast forward past like 30 minutes because it was just them talking and then boom, they're in the lab and then he's showing you what's up.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yes, this is my kind of movie. Cut out all the fat. Let's just get fucking to it.
And
You know
I
what
like
mean?
that because it's it's kind of indicative of his character. He's very science minded.
Right.
It's about,
He's very cut
Yeah.
the fat too.
and even so, like a woman like Gina Davis ends up being where she is in this relationship immediately.
Yeah.
They are going on a
she
trip
came on to
together.
him
Yeah, pretty hard. After finding out he was
just
a
like out of
genius.
nowhere. Right.
I started this movie with my wife, and it got to the point they were laying in bed right before he gets the microchip in his back, and he rolls over on the microchip or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
And Gina Davis like looks at him and says something like, "You're so cute," and my wife goes,
Yeah.
"Yeah, he is."
But yeah,
Like, well, thanks.
she fucking just started just fucking came on to him.
Yeah.
Like I don't like, but again, you invent teleportation, you're bound to get some pussy out of that. So it looks like that's what happened there because she could not keep her hands off of him, and he wasn't even trying. He was just laying there like, well, what do we do?
And one of the other things that I really love about this movie is the setup of her like asshole ex-boyfriend and boss. Like, there's this whole dynamic
Who was
to that
that guy, by the way?
relationship.
John Getz, right? Yeah, John Getz. Where have I
John
seen
Getz.
him before? Scott, do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I just know him from this movie and The Fly 2. I don't know him from
He was in the sequel?
Yeah,
Whoa, was his foot all fucked and hand all fucked up still?
it was. He played the same character.
Oh, okay.
And I was a bit I mean, they went out of the way. His character was all over the place.
Yeah.
It was okay. I'm your boss. Now you're seeing somebody else.
Yeah, he's
Well, now I'm
obsessive.
here.
And
Now I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
And, but
then
now I
he's
really care about you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
It was.
And she got back into caring about him or whatever. So like, there's a weird thing, but he's set up to be this awful guy who's like using power and like being obsessive ex-boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's all these like tropes and red flags that he's sending off.
Right.
But then you have what Jeff Goldblum turns into, and you're like,
Which is
oh
a
shit,
literal monster.
This is way worse.
Yeah.
Even before he fully transforms,
Right.
like,
But-
when he's
but
like,
then- but it was
does this
sad
look
because he
sick
couldn't
to
help
you?
it.
And like he just starts punching a wall. It's like, yeah, that's pretty sick.
Right. He turns into a literal monster, but he couldn't help it, and his mind was going,
So to
which
answer
was interesting.
but to answer your question, Zodiac. Don't you love Zodiac?
That movie?
Yeah,
John Getz was in it?
he was in it.
What did he play?
He played Templeton Peck.
It's not ringing any bells.
Yeah. Social Network. You fan of that movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
He just had a face that looked really familiar.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of wow, totally brain farted. John Ritter
Yeah, I can kind
kind
of
of has
see
that,
it.
that look.
Or what's that one guy's name? Charles Brogan? Charles Grodin.
Grodin,
Yeah, with a
the
beard.
dad from Beethoven.
Yeah. But because didn't Charles Grodin have a bearded phase? Am I getting that wrong?
No,
He might have, but I don't. I mean, he's not known for having a beard.
Yeah, I knew that. All right, well, never mind.
Anyway.
Maybe he doesn't remind me of Charles Grodin.
but yeah, his that character was all over the place. It was sort of, and I wonder what went on with the drafts, because I know there was a huge rewrite. Excuse me, on this film, to the point that Charles Pogue was like almost taken off of the thing, but Cronenberg said, no, make sure he stays on it. I would not have been able to write this without his original draft. So I wonder if there's like two or three different characters that became one, or if they just got
if you
themselves
look at
into
the
holes.
cast, which is something that I noticed, and another thing I love about it, I didn't realize how like sparsely cast this movie is. When you looked at the cast of characters at the end of the movie, there's like 10 people and that's it. And then you go, oh yeah, there wasn't that many
it's
people.
a very small film,
And it's great, but it goes into that theme of cutting the fat. Just give me what we need and show the story, and so I mean that was really cool. But I'm wondering, or it makes me think that like when the story moves in the way that the guy who's the good guy turns into literally a monster and turns into a bad guy. Who else is there to be the good guy but the other guy that was the bad guy at first?
Yeah.
You know, so maybe it's just, you know, what else could they really do unless they wanted to introduce a whole new character, which would have been weird and kind of annoying. And
Well, and it would make sense that, you know, if she's trying to get an abortion, like, who else is she going to call?
Ghostbusters.
No. Although, that is Sigourney Weaver.
That is Sigourney Weaver. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. Tying it all back.
I forgot. Yeah, we've done 2 Sigourney Weaver movies.
We've done a couple.
Yeah.
League of Their Own, that. Didn't we do another one?
Sigourney Weaver ain't in League of Their Own. You're thinking of
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
I'm getting confused on who we're talking about now.
Oh, boy.
You know, before you, I did not get these people confused.
Sorry, buddy. It's just
You're rubbing
Now,
off on
how I roll.
Either they were, because I think Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum were married.
Well, they were
with it.
dating.
Either they were married when they came out, or they were dating.
Yeah, they were
And
dating. They were dating when
they were making this movie?
filming this movie.
Oh, that makes
when
so much
they hired
sense.
when they hired Jeff Goldblum, he said, which Cronenberg wanted him immediately,
Uh-huh.
but the studio and the special effects people were even like, the bridge of his nose is too long. He's so gaunt, like it's not going to work that well. But
they were worried they couldn't get the makeup on him and stuff?
They wouldn't be able to make it right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It would bring up complications.
Huh.
Basically, I'm having some mic troubles here. It would bring up complications in makeup, but they said, if you believe that he's the best, we'll go with it. The producers did the same. The one thing that even Cronenberg was worried about was that Goldblum was like, well, you got to cast my girlfriend, and she was an unknown at this point.
Gina Davis was?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
And him and her both done a lot of theater together and stuff like that.
Oh.
They did.
Wow.
They did 3 movies together. This was the second one, so I don't know. Was this Transylvania? They did Transylvania 6800 or
65,000.
65,000. Yeah, and then they did Earth Girls Are Easy, and I don't know which one of those came out before this.
Oh, okay.
But
I've heard
one
of
of
Earth
those
Girls
did.
Are Easy.
Yeah.
Goldblum was in that?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, that's the one, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
where he's the vampire or whatever.
No, that's One's Bitten.
Oh.
Earth Girls Are Easy. Jeff Goldblum's an alien.
Oh, and Jim Carrey's just a dude.
I think he's
Jim Carrey is an alien,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
so is Damon Wayans.
Yeah.
Oh,
Damon Wayans,
Wayans.
Jeff Goldblum, and Jim Carrey are all aliens.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
they're all different colored. Like one's yellow, one's blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, we got to do that one for the podcast.
Or do we?
Is it good, Scott? Is that a good movie?
No.
Okay.
Exactly.
Jeff Goldblum of Death Wish fame, by the way.
Yes.
Mhm.
Shout outs to Scott's podcast. Let's go ahead and just plug that real quick.
Oh yeah.
Which we
The
forgot to do at
Charles-
the beginning of the
Yeah,
episode.
it's the Charles Bronson and is it the Charles Bronson?
It's
And-
the Burt Reynolds,
Reynolds
and Charles Bronson.
Bronson. Yeah.
The Burt Reynolds and Charles Bronson podcast. I didn't know which one came first. But yeah, we did an episode on that about Death Proof, and Jeff Goldblum was in that film
That's
as
right.
well.
And we also did an episode on the history of Canon Films, a
Electric
documentary.
Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think will already have been released by now too.
Yeah, probably.
I'm assuming.
I don't know when that comes out,
Yeah.
Scott.
But go check that out, please. And rate and review that everywhere. Goldblum does great. It's interesting that they thought they couldn't get the makeup on him and stuff, and they didn't want him.
There's just, some faces are easier to work with than others.
Yeah.
It has to do with like the bridge of the nose and all that kind of stuff. He's
Yeah.
got and he's got big ears. There's just a lot that you have to cover up and,
Yeah.
but they made it work. And they, like I said, they were worried about Gina Davis, but then they had her read and they were like, oh shit, she's excellent. This will be great. And then the producers were still like, well, the script is really good. So like, why don't you have some other actresses read for it? And then they did, and they were all like, oh no, she's the one. It wasn't just the script.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So she went and fucking earned it.
Well,
then.
also the thing is, Jeff Goldblum is 6'4", and Gina Davis is 6 feet.
Yeah.
He's probably 6 feet without heels. So
Yeah.
she's 6'3", 6'4" in heels.
Which also makes it way easier to shoot. If you got a
Yeah.
6'4" Jeff Goldblum and a 5'8" girl,
Right.
that's not going to work.
Right.
So,
And John Getz was 6'2", because I looked it up because in a lot of scenes with I think they were about the same height,
yeah.
Gina Davis and John Getz, because she was wearing heels. But that's, you don't think of it, but that's a big deal. That's why there's not a lot of tall actresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there
but
didn't used to be a lot of tall actors. You know,
No.
Jeff Goldblum, I mean, he's still pretty damn tall for anybody, but most actors were under 6 feet tall. You know,
Mhm.
it just because they're the same height as most of the women, or
Right.
closer to that same height, so it's easier to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, over the shoulder kind of stuff. This says that Gina Davis is 6 foot, and Jeff Goldblum is 6'4". Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yep.
But yeah, it's having the height difference not be astounding helps in her casting as well.
Right.
And she's fucking
And
great.
it helped that she was really
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I really liked how they introduced the fly. You
Into
know what I
the thing,
mean?
yeah.
Like how they just like out of like it was like just very subtle how it was like he's talking to the baboon and then
That's
the
a
baboon
great-
starts swatting a fly away.
That's
and
a
then,
great shot.
yeah, and then you're like
Yeah.
for a split second I was like, oh, get that fly out of there, and I was like, oh, oh shit, I think I know what that fly is gonna do. And then it was just really cool how like something as small as that could just create such a catastrophic fuck up
Yeah.
when you're playing with God, you know, that kind of
Well,
thing.
and you know
really cool.
that scene, and then he even mentions it in the next scene with her after he tells her that he did the teleportation.
Mm-hmm.
It's this whole movie is really just a cautionary tale about making decisions while drinking. Because he's like, well, I was drunk and a little upset, so I went through the teleporter
So I
by myself, and now I'm a fly.
literally could have killed himself.
Well, it's we brought it up before that Gina Davis was macking hard on Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I don't think that character had a lot of experience with women.
No, not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when he thought that she was running back to her ex-boyfriend,
Yeah.
it really it affected him more than somebody who would have been in several relationships and knows what's going on.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess normal people or sane people, I'm sure crazy people, but she, like, when she's macking on him that hard and he's just like,
Yeah.
and she's like, we should go on a trip, just the two of us. He's astounded by this.
Yeah. And then and that was weird. Like I was kind of I wasn't expecting there to be like, I mean, not that there was a lot of romance or whatever, but I wasn't even expecting that amount of romance, you know, or any sort of what do you call it, relationships between characters like that at all. I was expecting it to be just like a complete sci-fi thing. So when they're having that, you know,
Well,
when they
especially
are
when you
banging and stuff,
you're
then it gets
introduced-
real like.
yeah,
I don't know.
you're introduced to the teleporters like 10 minutes into, not even 10 minutes into the film.
Right.
It's
Which was awesome.
literally the third scene, and the
Yeah.
second scene is driving to them.
Right.
You know, and those I love the way those pods look. That's so.
Oh yeah,
They have,
the pods look great.
They look like car engine parts or something.
Right, but this kind of goes into my notes journey because they were banging a lot, which I wasn't expecting. Right,
Uh,
and then they did it after he went through the teleport.
Yes.
after he teleported himself the first time, and the fly was in there, and we know that he's a fly. She doesn't know that he's turning into a fly. But
And they were banging
they're
for
banging
hours.
unprotected.
Yeah.
And I got the idea while they were banging after. I was like, well, if she had a kid, then it would be like a quarter fly, right? You know, or would it be half? No, it'd be quarter at that time or whatever.
well,
right?
we don't
It
know
would-
how much fly
it would have
he
some-
is.
It would
but,
be
yeah.
like some fly
it would
DNA.
be something would be messed up.
So I had that thought
Yeah.
while they were doing it, and then it was 30 minutes later, and she says I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, called it.
Now,
I was very happy.
what about the whore that he banged?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she probably was pregnant and probably had that kid in there. Like you could have done a sequel based off of that, right?
Well,
You could have tracked her down and found the kid.
The sequel is about his son.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's,
Oh, well, man, well, look at this. I should have written Did I write this movie? Did I write this entire franchise? I think I did.
But that, if they wanted to go into another direction, that, I forget her name, but the woman he picks up in a bar and he bangs.
It would have been about her son and her not knowing.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
And even if she was on birth control or something like that, you don't know. I mean, his cum could be acidic.
Yeah.
Or what, and if it was it could be, it's different than human sperm. So even if she's on protection, it could
erode it could fight off the hormones and fucking impregnate.
Yeah, fight off the pill or dig through the diaphragm or whatever.
Yeah.
Dig through the diaphragm.
I love how this is great. We're dissecting the fly and we're talking about Brundle's cum. You know, we're breaking down how powerful his fly jizz is. That's amazing, man. I love it. But it's a good point.
He's pretty fly for a white guy.
Oh,
there you go.
There it is.
It had to happen. Or
I'm surprised I didn't. I'm proud of you, Scott. I'm surprised I didn't think of that one and just fucking blast it all over both of you guys by now 70 times. That's normally what I do.
Much like Brundle.
Yeah.
Much like Brundle jizz.
Yeah, Brundle jizz. Brundle cum.
Brundle cum.
I love how he like still, even though he like once he was like fully entrenched in this like horrifying transformation and he was fully aware of it, he was still like this, like he was all science about it. And he was like, okay, well now the challenge is how can I, turn back and like,
and
like he didn't just like rot away.
Yeah, it became more scientific.
Yeah, and that was really
like
cool.
His personality started
going away.
It was a cool
character, and it was just like really cool to see, like because the movie could have gone so many different ways if they wanted to make his character just be completely freaked out by it. They could have been like this whole like "don't look at me, I'm hideous" type deal, which we've seen that before. But instead, he's like he's tenacious, and he's still. Even though he's transforming into this monster and he looks fucking hideous and disgusting, he's still very human in there and just like typing away on the computer the best he can. And, he's like, hey, come here, check this out. Oh, and when he sits down and he's like, he does the video, he's like, this would be great for kids. Yeah. Oh, that was so dark and so hilarious at the same time.
And it cuts away just before
when he
to watching that's a great
that was so
transition.
Good. Yeah.
That's a great, I don't see it, but I know it's happening.
Yeah.
I think it would have lost something. Well, we've already seen him.
Yeah, we've already seen him
regurgitate.
Do it.
Right, which took me by surprise. Did not see that one coming. Did not expect him to go that far. Because I had thought in my head, I was like, oh, well, eventually, isn't he going to barf on food if he's a fly now? And then when he just goes, I was like, oh, so gross.
You don't have any...
I didn't think he would actually go there.
You don't have any, like, warning.
But they do. Yeah. And that's what's great about this movie is that every place that you think about that you think, no way they're going to go there. They pretty much go there and further.
Yeah, well,
like they even showing the dream of her birthing a larva. They went there.
Yeah,
that was amazing and scary.
I'm not a big fan of dream sequences,
right?
But this movie earned it.
Yeah, big time.
There wasn't because up until that there wasn't a lot of cheap jump scares.
Right.
It was. I mean, the regurgitation. It's not a jump scare. It's this.
It's a surprise, though. Yeah,
surprise. What? So it earned it. It wasn't a fake out.
Right.
So
right.
I'm not a big fan of dream sequences, and they set it up really well. I didn't know. I mean, when I first saw the movie, I didn't know it was a dream sequence until when that came out.
Yep.
Going back to his
too.
slow transformation. And all the sex is, Gina Davis was getting those dark blotches all over his face.
Right.
Yeah.
He obviously didn't look well, and she was still having sex with him. And then he picks up this woman on the street,
right?
and I call her a whore, but he doesn't pay her.
No,
Right.
she's just a barfly.
Barfly.
Yeah.
She's a barfly. Da 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 da.
Ding.
And she had sex with him, and he looks bad. And that later that scene, she says he smells bad. So this guy who looks bad and smells bad,
Yeah.
she goes back to his place and has sex with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After
After he teleports again, though,
he's
remember he teleported
Yeah.
again, which
He does, yeah.
did that
But
accelerate the transformation?
he picks her up and isn't wearing a shirt in this bar.
Yeah.
Breaks a guy's arm.
That she was with.
He's probably not wearing shoes because we don't see him wearing shoes like ever.
Yeah.
Once he starts flying out. But yeah, so she wasn't really worried about much. She was also saying, "Let's go to a bunch of bars before we go home."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, he basically could have been in his state, his mental state. He could have been any street wanderer that was just cracked out on PCP. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like just walks. He did all the things that a person on PCP would do if they walked into a bar randomly. Looked terrible. Broke a dude's arm in half by challenging them to a fucking arm wrestling, and then said, "You're coming with me." And then the fact that she was just like, okay. That was just that. It was wild. To your point,
Well, and
Scott,
there
it was
was
very wild.
there was a lot of people.
And then
when-
he bangs her.
Yeah, and when this movie came out, there was a lot of people who assumed that the whole movie was a metaphor for AIDS because this was like right in the middle of the 80s, right?
yeah,
right during
wow.
the AIDS pandemic. Or epidemic or whatever, and you know he had all the sores all over his face and stuff. That was like the first sign, but Cronenberg did not intend for that.
Sure.
Although he's not mad about it because it's still disease. And
Right.
that's what the whole thing is, a metaphor for disease and aging. But you know, it wasn't specifically AIDS.
Another thing is, at the beginning, Jeff Goldblum's like, "No, stay away. It might be contagious."
Yeah.
And then,
Right.
and then they're hugging, and then she goes to John Gett's office, and he's like, "You're right. It could be contagious." Well,
If it is,
if it's contagious,
Then you all have
guys
it.
are doing nothing
Right.
to stop the spread.
Right. They weren't wearing
yeah.
masks. They weren't social
No,
distancing.
they were closer than 6 feet.
Yes.
well, it's hard to be further than
fools.
6 feet.
Foolish.
They're 6 feet tall.
Totally foolish.
Everybody was tall in this
Yes,
movie.
everybody was tall.
Yeah.
And you go way back to the beginning when if I'm Gina Davis and this guy takes me back to this abandoned building
Right.
with padlocks on the door,
Yeah.
and it's just like, realistically, I'm not going in there.
Right.
I'm not going. Yeah. So
I
know she had to have the movie happen. But
I did have a thought about that. About that seemed to be like a big thing in the 80s and 70s is people living in warehouse spaces and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, converted lofts.
yeah,
and
converted
stuff.
lofts and
but-
shit, but way more crude than it is now, where they actually do it up and decorate it. It just is just like, yeah, I'm just living this loft with all these fucking pillars in the middle of my house, and
I think it
in the
also
middle of my
could just be
space, and
a
this
movie
freight
thing. I don't know if that was
elevator.
I don't know if that was a real thing.
Well, no, I mean I know, but that seemed to be like
Yeah.
kind of like in style, or it seemed to be something that
Well, and
was acceptable enough to where people just
It made sense. It made
people
sense for
didn't,
this
think
because
twice about it.
basically it wasn't an apartment; it was a laboratory. You know, and he was getting funded by
no,
that
that's true.
company
Yeah,
to do it, and you know, those things did not look like they plugged into a normal wall outlet. So
That's
I'm sure
true.
he needed,
you need
at least a dryer plug.
yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
well,
something
you don't want to be around. You don't want to be in a heavily populated area
Yeah.
when you're doing stuff like that.
that's
either.
true too. When you're mutilating baboons.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're-
so that was a thing that the effects department, the guys that did it, they said that everything that was come up with for the movie was made and shot, but some of it ended up getting cut out of the final thing. The biggest thing being, so you know how he has the idea to cross himself with her and
Yeah.
the baby and come out as one thing,
Yeah.
being better. So he tried that with the other baboon, or that second baboon, the one that he teleported successfully. He teleports that baboon and a cat, and it becomes this cat baboon creature.
yeah.
And it's a disaster nightmare thing.
Yeah.
And he beats it to death with a lead pipe.
Oh,
And they showed it in a screening, and they realized that you beat an animal to death and you've lost the audience.
Oh, really?
So at that point, they didn't care what happened to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Even though he was already a monster, like it was in
but there
that
was
phase.
when it took away the power of him wanting like because it
Before-
was sad. The ending of that movie was fucking sad.
But before, like you're not supposed to totally lose it for him, I guess, until he becomes the actual
like
the most fly-like.
Yeah.
After he sheds all that skin.
Dude, that shot of him like moving backwards and she takes his jaw off on accident and then the rest of his face starts peeling off. That was amazing.
Excellent
practical
stuff.
effects.
Yeah, that was
and holds up, dude.
Yeah, it's a totally different transformation. They decided specifically because of Werewolf in London, American Werewolf in London, they were not going to do bladder effects because it had been done, and to such success in that they wanted to do something different. So they did that thing with like the peeling out and the shedding and everything. It looks bananas.
Fucking awesome, dude. And the fact that it was happening like as he was still moving backwards and it all looked fluid.
Yeah.
It just looked great. And then you see his fly legs coming out. Like they did like such a good job with that shit.
And they had a lot of discussion about it where it was
couldn't have been easy.
They said they really liked working with Cronenberg because he isn't he's a lot more artistic in describing what he wants. Like he knows exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
But where they said like most directors will tell you like, oh, it needs to have more blood here or it needs to be bulbous there, like very specific what they have in mind. And his stuff was like, I need to see his pain in this part. Like I need to, so like they got more expanse. And the biggest thing was that they said it's not him turning into a fly. That was what the Vincent Price one more or less was, with the head and the arm.
Right.
But it's him turning into something new. Like he keeps saying, it's not a man-sized fly or a fly-sized man or whatever. It is a new thing that is
hybrid.
both man and fly that he's turning into. So I think they did a great job with that.
Yeah, they did. And then to have him get mixed with the pod and that thing that they created where it was like fusion successful, and then it showed him crawling out with the pod part all twisted up in him, and that was just so.
And just dragging that cable.
Yeah, that cable.
So
man, it was gross, but so great. And she's bawling.
To me, one of the best things.
Yeah,
I'm
go.
Sorry.
No, go.
One of the best things in the movie is the telepod when it opens. So it's just that simple. It's and you just because after he teleports and you see the and it's dead quiet, and all of a sudden you hear the pod open.
Yeah, with all the
and
smoke.
That moment of silence. Yeah, that moment of silence that it opens, and then you.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
So and such a great payoff.
And like
the way
fact
they
that
shot it.
That original prototype doesn't. Excuse me. It has the solid door instead of the glass door, so you have to wait for it to pop open like that.
Yeah, exactly. And also that first shot of
I'm just choking on my own spit.
That's what they all say. The first shot of him when he does the transportation successfully and the opening of the pod and the smoke, and it takes a long time for it to reveal if he is alive or not. That was such a great. That's an iconic shot, isn't it?
It is definitely. I would say so.
That was really. And then the way he walks out of it, all epic as fuck. Like I did it, but we all know that something went horribly wrong, and he doesn't. So it's just so great, man. It's so great.
I'm gonna do a couple of nitpicks.
Yeah,
because one, the first nitpick is when he sends the steak through, but he puts the steak on a plate. Why did the steak and the plate not
exactly
fuse together?
Because they had already set that up.
Yeah,
too.
They've set that up. Yes.
Now I know the logistic reason for that is that we as the audience are following the steak. So like you're following two different things because you saw him cut the steak into two different shapes and put them on two different colored plates. So it's visually easier to follow the colored plate from him transporting it and then handing it to her cooked back on that colored plate. But it would have mixed together. He should have put it in there by itself.
Right. That just. I know. I know it's a nitpick.
Well, I would call it
At
a.
the end, because he combines with where you think, well, it's organic material and inorganic material.
Yeah,
it's
but
meat.
then then at the end he combines.
But then he gets with the telepod, which is
Yeah.
organic material and inorganic material. So when he sent the steak, and it's just little thing, and when you watch movies as much as we do, it's just little things like
You
that.
pick it
It's
up.
like,
as we
yeah,
all do.
I think the
Exactly.
steak and the plate would have combined together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a little nitpick. I'd call it a big mistake.
Oh,
Oh, you did.
Big scare.
See, I knew I had
I
one of
also
those up
want
my
to say
sleeve.
Fucking Bryce.
There we go.
I also want to say, if you're in a closed pod and that fly starts, you're going to know a fly's in there. There's no way he didn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, maybe if he's so engrossed in it.
Well, he was also-
and if it's
he was also a little drunk.
That's true.
He was also a little
that's
drunk,
true.
and the fly got right up inside the viewing portal or not portal, porthole. The window,
Yeah.
but like it's up, like it's got like a cylinder out of the main section, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like buzzing around. And they did a great shot of you see the camera looking at the window with the fly on the inside, and you can see him behind it, and then they zoom in, so you can definitely tell that you're seeing the bottom of the fly, so it's inside there.
Yeah.
But you can also tell that there's some space, so maybe he just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
I think him being a little drunk also made him not notice it as much,
Yeah. I was willing to let that one kind of slide. I mean, I could
And you had
totally.
to.
You had to. You
Yeah.
had to.
You don't have to let.
But
the
I mean,
steak
it
slide.
is completely conceivable though that there could have been any kind of insect in there. There could have been a tiny little beetle in there, and he
Well,
wouldn't have known it.
the thing that you have to super let
and
fly.
then he would have come out as John Lennon.
Yeah, the thing that you have to like super let go is the fact that if it's transporting organic material and combining it, I mean that thing is full of bacteria, and there's so many things living on your skin that aren't you.
Oh
At
wow!
the
I didn't even
moment,
think
like,
about that.
How did that? Is it
not to mention your colon is full of bacteria.
Yeah, I mean, there's also all sorts of stuff inside of you, and maybe that gets put back together, right, or something. But it's still not
It would
the
have to
same.
teleport. Yeah, the computer would
So-
still pick up on the life forms.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the best way is just ignore it first of all,
Right.
because this is not a documentary,
Or
so-
not be smart enough to know
Yeah.
any of that.
But the only other thing would be that it's too insignificant necessarily that it just attaches it to the person or whatever. But the fly being big enough,
Right.
that
Well,
it
being its own
tracks,
separate genome.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, really, you just don't think about it.
There is something that we need to address before we, start
Is it
wrapping
the-
things up.
Inside Out baboon,
No.
because that was pretty gross.
That was gross and awesome practical effects.
Yeah.
Very reminded me of stuff you saw in The Thing.
I will say, I want to talk about that baboon for a second. His name is Typhoon. I'm sure he's dead now. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But the baboon they had on set, like in that scene where it acts with Goldblum, like I thought that monkey was great.
He did great.
That
Yeah,
baboon, not a monkey.
Absolutely.
But apparently it was a disaster
Oh,
because believe it or not, baboons don't care if they're in a movie.
really? Right.
And they are
Much like
wild
chimps.
animals.
Yeah.
They are not trainable.
Right.
And it was like pretty much a nightmare. And Cronenberg said that the only way they got it to work is because they had cast Jeff Goldblum, and he's so tall and like is an imposing force that the animals kind of became beta to him.
Yeah.
Like the monkey kind of listened
Oh,
more to
wow.
him when he would
Yeah.
do stuff. But like the biggest thing was it freaked the fuck out when it went into the
shit.
the thing and those lights go off.
Yeah.
And it started breaking. It broke the
Yeah.
door off, and it took like the animal handlers and Goldblum to get it out of control.
Wow.
Which a baboon will rip your face off.
Yeah,
so-
exactly. And we've seen where it can go wrong with baboons in movies in
The
The
Omen.
Omen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard too many stories about chimps going wild and ripping our faces off, and they're also way stronger than us.
Yeah.
That I would never, if I was an actor, ever agree to do a scene with a live fucking monkey. It's not something to play with, man. That baboon could have fucking killed Jeff Goldblum at any moment.
It's a wild animal.
Yeah.
They are not tame.
Yeah,
It is
crazy.
not domesticated. So
It's crazy. But no, that's not what I needed. That I wanted to address. I wanted to see if you guys saw this as well.
All right.
When he is losing parts of his body and he loses his teeth, and he goes, "Your relics now," and he opens the cabinet to put his teeth in.
Penis is in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
His dick was in a jar, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
His
I
penis
just
is in a
was
jar.
making sure that they meant
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Along with other bits
So
and
gross.
pieces of him. As he said, vestigial.
So not necessary.
No,
But
100% necessary because
Well, I mean,
we see him walking around.
hilarious. But see, it goes along with the theme of what I was saying. If you think that they won't go somewhere, not
then
only
they
do they go there, but they go farther than you can even. fucking
And
think. And it
just,
makes it great.
And it just happens. Like it's not like
right.
a build
They don't
up
make
to
a
like
thing of it.
plus his
Like,
penis
yeah,
is
they
here.
didn't like show his dick falling off. That would have been something else. But he did
What do
gain
you
the
think of-
ability to jizz through his fingers. That was crazy.
the pus coming out
Yeah,
of
that
his.
was so gross.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Scott? Scott?
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you guys think of Jeff? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What did you think about Jeff Goldblum's acting in the makeup?
I thought
Great.
it was fantastic.
Great.
I thought it was. He gets so much with his eyes. His eyes were like always rolling.
Yes.
Well, and they told him, they asked him early on to like figure out things to do that they could integrate with the puppet, and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm made of ticks," so like he just exaggerated some of his ticks
Right.
and would carry them through the makeup so that it worked into that like last fly thing where they could add
Yeah.
those little ticks of
Right,
things that he
right.
did. But he I mean, there was over 50 pounds of prosthetics on him.
Oof.
It took over 5 hours to do most of it, and he's still acting through it, which that is
Yeah.
rough.
Right.
I mean, like Jim. To go back to Jim Carrey, he when he did The Grinch,
Yeah.
they had to bring in a CIA guy that would teach him how to like withstand torture,
Yeah.
so that he could just get in the makeup. So
Yeah.
imagine getting into that makeup and then having to act on top of
Yeah.
it, and having like head to toe covered, and you still see those micro expressions
Yeah.
in his
Right.
eyes. It is
Right.
super impressive.
Yeah.
Remember, Jim Carrey once said he had to like punch himself in the leg or
Yeah.
well to stand being in the makeup or getting the makeup put on.
Yeah.
Just to distract him from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like, that was a lot, but that nowhere near what Jeff Goldblum had on his fucking entire body. I mean, it was also gross shit he was dealing with too.
I mean, the I didn't write it down, but the vomit was made out of honey, milk, and eggs.
Eggs. Ugh.
Yeah, raw eggs.
Oh.
That's what they made that vomit out of. And oh man, that hand melting
Oh,
in front
yeah.
of you. It's very
That was crazy.
very
man.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, but
but it looked good.
from him barfing on it, that was
Yeah.
nuts, dude.
And then my favorite one though is the foot.
yeah.
How it just like dissipates
Yeah.
right there. It's so ugh.
Oof.
And then of course
Well, there's a little thing like right before he does that, you can see him. He's generating.
yeah.
He's generating
Yeah.
the vomit. You can see he's generating the vomit right before he does.
Right,
So you
right.
can see him making the vomit before it comes out of his mouth. Which
Man.
it's just a little thing like that, but it really pays off.
It has a big impact.
They cut a part where he ate the foot after vomiting on it because like it shows him go down to it. But
Yeah.
like there was a part where like he had a proboscis thing that he sucked up the foot,
Oh,
and they were just
wow.
like that. It messed with the pacing of that scene, and it was just
Yeah.
like we've got him.
We get it.
We've
get
got
it.
him.
Yeah.
I mean, even so Vincent Price, Jeff Goldblum wrote him a letter, saying that he loved the original, and he respects him and everything, and he's like he invited him to one of the screenings, and he said, I hope you like it as much as I did. And Vincent Price, after seeing it, he said it was wonderful right up to a certain point, and it went a little too far. So I like to think it's when we saw the penis in the cabinet. That's where Vincent Price is like, maybe that's a bit much. But I know that Linda Hamilton, that's Sarah Connor, right?
Yeah.
That's a Terminator woman.
Yeah. She was one of the people that was originally asked to do the Gina Davis part, and she turned it down because of the maggot abortion scene. She's like, I'm not doing that.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, that's too far.
Really?
To be getting an abortion and then a maggot comes out. She's like, no, this is fucking gross. I'm not going to be a part of this.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of people that turned this down. That's one of the reasons they finally went with Goldblum. They relented to Cronenberg because everybody they kept approaching, Mel Gibson was one of the names I read, and Michael Keaton, and they all were like,
wow.
this is too much.
Could you imagine Michael Keaton in this?
Yeah. I mean,
pretty interesting. Goldblum just does so good, though.
Goldblum has that ability, and they even rewrote some of the stuff right before they filmed it. They added things for him, but that scene in the coffee shop where he's putting in all the sugar, right after he became the Fly and he starts eating too much sugar, but the scientific verbal diarrhea that he has, but he could say it and you can tell he understands it. Right. Even if you don't. And there's a lot of actors who it's just you memorize that. But with him, it was just going.
Right.
And it also, he has that coloring and his cadence and everything that keeps it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I live in a house and he has me thinking about apartments.
Yes.
The only man that could, right?
Yeah.
The only man that could.
If you notice if you notice Jeff Goldblum's teeth are kind of messed up.
Yeah.
This is before he actually got some work done as well.
Yeah, he was
real plastic surgery. He got his teeth fixed and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
This is early in his career.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that I think I've said everything that I wanted to. Bryce, you have anything pressing before we get to some numbers?
No, I think I touched it all.
All right. Scott, any last notes before we get into the numbers and the ratings?
I think Bryce brought this up too. The incredibly sad ending.
Yeah.
It's like we said, it was a horror movie, but it wasn't a horror movie.
Yeah.
Well,
so a lot of movies because The Fly 2, it's totally a storybook ending. They did the total opposite in Fly 2. So just this fact that this character that you like and you're rooting for, you can't save him.
Yeah. Right.
You can't save him, and he's got to die.
Yep.
That's just kind of heart-wrenching.
And she has to do it. The person that was in love with him is the one that has to do it.
It's such an interesting thing too. Is it feels like, so I know that it's not realistic, but this feels like a realistic version of a superhero origin story. If something goes
that
wrong,
was an idea I had.
Yeah, if something goes wrong in the lab with Peter Parker getting turned into a Spider-Man, this is how it ends.
Right.
It doesn't stop because this movie he gets those superpowers, and then it goes bad,
real bad. Yeah. I was thinking that, man, could have made a really cool origin story for a superhero, The Fly,
Yeah.
But it's the horror version of that.
Yeah, and it's weird because the horror again, it's not he turns into a monster and now you have to kill him because he's terrorizing the city.
Right.
It's just horror happening to himself in this small. I mean, like you said, it plays with a small cast.
It plays on the "it could happen to you" aspect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And the whole aging thing, the aging, you aging and dying doesn't affect the rest of the world,
right?
As much as it just affects you and those around you,
right?
It's terrifying because we're all,
and it's a sad tale of science gone too far. It just is what it is. All
right. So you ready for the box office numbers?
All right. Give me your numbers. Give me your numbers, girl. What's your number? Give me
Is
your
there
numbers,
music actually
girl.
going on during
Yes,
Give me your
yes, there is.
international. What's your
Yes.
domestic? What's your opening weekend number, girl? All right. I got to find a way to shorten that up, though.
Yeah, you just don't do it.
No, I got to do it, but I got to shorten it up.
All right.
We'll
So
make
the
it work.
budget was estimated $15 million. The opening weekend, August 17th, 1986. Scott, did you see it opening weekend?
That I can't remember.
All right. So opening weekend, what?
I probably, you know what? I probably did because back then I was a real movie nut, and I
Okay.
would go out and see. I didn't have friends. I didn't have girlfriends. I would go to the movies alone. So chances are I probably saw it on the opening weekend.
Okay. Well,
All
so
right.
then these numbers we're talking about
It was August.
is your
You said it was
dollars.
August.
Yeah, August 17th.
It was August.
Yeah.
So there's no. I'm still out of school. Probably. School's not back in session yet. So yeah, probably. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So what do you think the opening weekend was? Scott, do you remember how much a movie ticket cost in 1986?
Probably $4 or $5.
All right.
Okay.
So we're looking at $4 or $5, maybe 4 or 5 from Scott's actual pocket.
Right. Right.
What
Mhm.
was the opening weekend? Bryce, let's have your guess.
What was the budget again?
The budget was $15 million.
Okay. And this was a hit. I'm going to say that it might have been a slow build though. It might have needed the word of mouth to help it. I'm going to say 10.6 million.
All right. Scott, do you have a guess?
I'm gonna say 15.5 million.
All right. Y'all are both over.
Oh.
Bryce is closer. It was 7,007,000.
I was going to say 5.
Yeah, 7,007,000 the opening weekend. Now, the overall gross, much higher. I'll give you that hint.
Right.
All right, Bryce, you got closer, so why
Because
don't
it
you go
needed the
first?
word of mouth. I will
No
say,
pun intended. Blah.
Right. It needed the barf of mouth.
Yeah, the barf of mouth.
And as Jeff Goldblum would say, fly finds a way to make money in the box office and stay alive.
Sure.
I'm gonna guess it made domestic box office total, or is this worldwide, or was there a worldwide?
This is domestic.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a worldwide.
I'm gonna say domestic 53.6 million.
All right, Scott.
I'm gonna say 60 million.
Oh, y'all are both over again.
Over.
40 million.
Oh wow.
40 million.
Well, still a good chunk of cheddar for a $17 million budget.
Yeah. So worldwide. Worldwide.
Did it get like an actual worldwide release?
Yes.
So like in China too?
This
No,
is
not in
this
China
is a
back
larger this is a larger number. So yes, it is not 40 million. It is above 40.45 million. It's above that.
All right. I'm going to say, I could see like Russians loving this movie. So I'm going to say, oh, wait, no, but it didn't get released in Russia. It was Cold War back then.
Probably.
I'm going to say it made 101 million worldwide.
All right, Scott.
I'm gonna say 63 million.
Oh, Scott almost nails it on the head. 60.6 million.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, 100 million was still real hard to get.
Hard to get back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
but yeah, that wraps that up. So we got one more thing. We have the. Oh wait, no, you got to give your
Yeah, the rating.
the rating. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Let's do the rating.
Out
Fly penises.
out of
fly
10
penises.
out of 10.
Or penises in a medicine cabinet.
Actually, yeah. Well, yeah, you go first since you got that one. You go first.
I'm gonna give this movie eight penises in a jar.
Wow.
8 penises in a jar.
Out of 10. Okay. And I will give it out of 10 out of 10 doctors being woken up in the middle of the night for an abortion that they really don't want to do. I'm going to give
That is specific.
Yeah. I'm going to give it 9 doctors woken up in the middle of the night to perform an abortion that they really don't want to do.
All
9.
right. 9 out of 10 doctors who are
I
woken
loved
up
it.
in the middle of
I
the
loved
night.
this movie. This
Yeah.
has instantly become one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's
Now, could you? So we were talking about rewatch. So you can rewatch this movie.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I
I will.
can.
I
mean,
will-
I have.
Well, first of all, Bryce, how did your wife take the movie?
Oh, she
Did you watch it with
she'd
her?
already seen it and she loved it already. Like she already loves it. She's a big
Okay,
fan.
She's
of it.
also a
Yeah.
huge
She's
Goldblum
not
fan.
squeamish about it.
Yes. No, not at all. And like Chase said, she's also a huge Goldblum fan. When I said, "Do you want to watch The Fly with me?" she said, "Fuck yes."
Yeah, she's very particular about films. She doesn't really like watching movies all that much.
Right.
But the ones that she does like, she
Yeah.
watches over and
Yeah.
over again. And this is
one of them. Yeah. So.
So this could be like a Halloween October movie you watch every
could.
year from now on.
Yeah,
there
it
you
really
go.
could.
Yeah.
Especially if we have kids. Welcome to Planet Earth, babies. We're watching this every
Okay,
year.
This one might be.
Let me ask
might
you
wanna
this.
Wait.
You have kids. What is the age you introduce them
Oh.
to The Fly?
See, with
Oh,
that being, it depends
that's a
on
good
what.
question.
It really depends on what my kid is like. If they are similar to me and we're watching horror films and are interested in that kind of thing and weren't having nightmares all the time, I'd be like, yeah, watch it when you're 10. Watch it when you're whatever, when you can get it. But, really, it's one of those ones that sort of, if they are old enough to approach me and say, can I watch it? That's when I would start to have the thing. I don't think I would ever sit them down and be like, you have to watch The fucking Fly. Unless they were
Yeah.
particularly bad.
And that's just evil. But thank you. He was asking me though. So just kidding. I would say no earlier than like 11 or something. I mean, like Chase said, if like realistically speaking, if it's something that they're cognizant enough of to come up and ask me about it, then I would probably
Yeah.
be like, I'm warning you, this is really gross. Are you sure you want to watch this? Have a discussion.
It would
But
have
I wouldn't.
to.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
let them watch something like that.
It would have to.
before the age of
it would
10.
have to be something where they've seen other things. Like if they could handle Alien, or they could handle The Thing, then if that pushed them to a limit, then don't go to this one. And I also
let me ask you.
yeah,
You
go
just brought this up. What movie is more grosser? The Thing, 1982, Fly, 1986.
oh, The Fly.
The Fly.
The Fly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah. Because it's happening to you.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it doesn't happen to you in The Thing, but it's just the fact that it's like you watch the slow, like what we were talking about, the slow transformation just makes it that much.
Yeah,
more.
there's a humanity to it
horrifying.
where in The Thing, once you
Well, plus
once
the
the thing
barfing
takes you
is
over,
really
it's different.
gross, and
Yeah,
his
and
shit is falling off. Ugh.
and I think there's a cerebral aspect to this film more than The Thing, where The Thing is just a straightforward horror film.
Right.
This has more. There's more nuanced stuff, and it is a lot
It's a
more.
little more.
looking at
It's a little
yourself.
more Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good way of putting
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Which kind of creeps you out a little bit more. you
Yeah,
know?
so I think it takes a little more maturity than just not being scared at
Yeah.
a puppet. So,
You know what? Fuck it. I'll let my kid watch it when they were like 3 or something if
Yeah.
they wanted to.
I mean, by the time we have kids, already,
It'll be a children's
you
movie.
won't have any control over what they
No,
watch
that's
when
so
they watch
true.
it.
That's
you
so
know?
true.
So
Yeah, I don't know how parents deal with kids, their kids with the phones nowadays, man. Dude, I do not know how they deal with that shit. I remember I used to have to wait and be 100% sure that the car left the driveway and was down the street before I went and logged on old AOL and pulled up some booby pictures that would take 10 minutes to download.
yeah.
So I don't know how the fuck they deal with that shit. It's insane. But anyway, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
What's the next?
Worth it or worth shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I
We're gonna
know
go around the
it's-
table here.
It's worth it.
Big skin.
100%.
Scott, worth it or worth shit?
Well, it's kind of weird. It's a fly. Flies love shit, so
Mhm.
it's worth a fly. But it's
Okay.
it's it's worth it to me, but this is a very particular movie. You've got to know what you're getting into, and you got to be in the right mindset.
Right.
Yeah, this is
if
not.
you're a horror movie fan or a sci-fi fiction fan, yes.
Right.
If this is if you're slightly bothered than the least, then stay away from it.
Right.
This is right up there in the same category. Now, granted, this movie is leaps and bounds better, but this is in the same category as Tusk, where it's if you're into it, then this is good. Now, Tusk wishes
is worse shit.
Tusk wishes it was this good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fat that needs to get cut in Tusk. Really, it's all Michael Parks and the
don't you mean Blubber?
Blubber, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's a certain thing. Like, just because somebody doesn't like this movie, I wouldn't judge them.
Right.
I wouldn't be like, well, you don't like horror, or you don't like cinema, or it's like you don't get it. It's like, no, I can understand not being into this one.
Right.
Definitely, yeah.
So anyway,
but I got to give it a worth it as well at the end of the day. So, and then now I guess there's
wrapping it up
one
with
more thing to do.
Reboot Recast.
All right. The only one I have really is
the
Gold.
soundbite said reboot recast. By the way, Scott, just so you know.
Yeah, forgot.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I thought Chase had a stroke.
Yeah, no, you can hear my soundboard, but you can't hear his.
Yeah.
Just Brundle is the only one I have.
What about Gina Davis? We're not going to recast Gina Davis?
I did not have one for her.
Okay.
But, a talented actress, just put one in there. Doesn't really matter.
That's fair. Let's find the best Brundle we can.
Yeah, so
That's the ultimate challenge.
I have mine. It's the first one that came to mind, and I couldn't come up with a better one, and I'm really in love with it, so I'll go last.
Okay, I was going to say. Scott, do you have any ideas for a recast of Brundle?
Man, I think Kevin Bacon would be good in this.
I feel like he's too old at this point.
See, I knew Chase was going to get you on the ageism. He was going to be ageist to you.
It's not ageist. It's Hollywood. It's the role is not for a 60-year-old man.
I have a dark horse one.
Man would have been working on this his entire life. That's the one thing. Because the one thing, it's weird. It's like, because when you see Jeff Goldblum, he's not ripped, but he's in really good shape for this movie. And my thinking is, if you're a scientist, you're going to have a pot belly, and you're not going to be exercising. All your time is going to be on this.
Well, I think that he does exercise. Like, all he does is, type things and run tests on this thing. So while it's running, he's hanging from that bar. He's, running in circles. He's very frantic even before he's the Fly. So I don't think he just sits around. And the whole idea of his character being, like Einstein with all the same outfit, 5 of the same outfit or whatever, so they just wear the same thing. I feel like he's very consistent of, like, I wake up in the morning and I have a bowl of fruit. At lunch I have a sandwich. Like, he doesn't ever treat himself to food, or he doesn't just sit and eat. He's so that doesn't bother me so much. And the fact that he's extremely smart. Like, the guy starts to mention some of his other research and everything, but even he says he didn't do all this. He outsourced it. So it's not like he spent his entire life working on every aspect of it.
He put the line in there.
So that's why I think
that's what I like.
I think that him being younger and, like, in the prime, and he's this genius guy who knows what he could come up with and who knows what problems he could fix. It makes it more effective.
I'm going to go with
it's sad that he dies.
Tom Holland.
Okay.
Interesting.
I like the play on him being Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
I think he's actually a little too young just by looks.
There's no pleasing this guy, Scott.
There is.
This is what I go through every week with this guy.
Well, you're casting a thing. It's different every week.
We're casting the Fly, not the thing.
You know who I would cast? I think who's the Community guy? We talked about him earlier.
Oh, Joel McHale.
Joel McHale.
Joel McKay. He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
McHale. He's a tall guy. He's right. He's in his mid 40s. I think that would play right about a scientist.
Yeah.
I could see him doing it.
I could see that
I
working.
could see him pulling it off.
I don't know if he's got the chops, but he could try.
Right.
All right.
That's
So,
true.
That's a good throw out there. That sticks. Bryce, what do you got?
I have a dark horse candidate that I
hate to be this, but we're not looking for a horse. We're looking for a person.
Oh, well.
I know
Looking for
that.
a fly.
Yeah, it's going to be a fly, not a horse.
Oh,
Not to be confused with a horse fly.
and then I gotta restart. I gotta find another.
All right, who is it?
I gotta find a person. Then I have a dark person candidate.
Don't say that.
Can we say that?
doesn't
We
work.
can't say that.
That
Okay.
doesn't
Don't
work.
say that.
That doesn't
Okay.
work.
Well, you wouldn't let me say horse. All right. Anyway,
Make it
so
horse.
let's see.
If you picked Liam Neeson, that would be the Dark Man.
Oh yeah, he was dark. Yeah, the Sam Raimi thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But you haven't seen that, right?
No, have not.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's a good movie. Oh,
That's
Dark
great.
Man. Yeah.
I thought about this one long and hard, and I'm pretty proud of myself for
As
this
long
one.
and hard as what is in his medicine cabinet? Oh, disembodied penis.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, good callback. That was good. No, actually, I just saw it on IMDb right now on the most popular celebrities. What is that? The penis? Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, I like that.
It's not bad, right?
I do like that. All right. Now mine,
not bad,
I
right?
do enjoy the idea. Playing against type. He's
Yep.
got the. I mean, he's almost the same exact body
Yeah.
frame.
Yep. It's a little bit shorter.
Yeah. Now mine, I went with just thinking of somebody. Now Sacha Baron, no, he's great, but he hasn't ever really gotten to do it because he, of what he does. So I think that could work. But this guy, he's got the nerdiness down, but he also has that like female appeal, just like Goldblum, who's a little goofy looking, but girls think it's hot.
Okay.
I think he can play with words real well. Has a history in stage and other such things like that. Adam Driver, also tall. Adam Driver.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
That is really good. That is really good. Yeah.
Oh man,
See?
that's actually really, really good.
Yeah, that's how it's done. That's how it's done.
See this is what I deal with every fucking week, Scott.
Hey.
Even when I come out with the gold, I come out with the gold
Sacha
and he
Baron
shits
Cohen-
all over it.
And Sacha Baron Cohen is a great choice, and Joel McHale's not a bad one either. But yeah, you gotta.
All right, let's just end this
Gotta
and
do
get this him feeling hot right now over with.
All right. Well, that wraps it up here. Like, subscribe, follow, comment, post, review, all that bullshit.
We will read your
at-
comments on air, and you will be instantly famous overnight.
Yeah, at the Movie Gap on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube us Movie Gap. Scott, we've already mentioned the Burt Reynolds Charles Bronson podcast, but you also have one other one, right? The Dan Aykroyd.
The Dan Aykroyd podcast,
All right.
where I just review Dan Aykroyd vehicles. And I also have a YouTube channel myself, Scott White Comedian, where you can see my stand-up and reviews and all kinds of stuff.
Hell
And
yeah.
you've been out touring, right? You're keeping the clubs open right now, which
I
is
have that. I just got back. I've been on the road. I got a little slow time right now, but yeah, I have been working. So
Yeah,
that's been
doing-
Awesome.
he's out there doing the Lord's
That's been
work.
fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But how has that been, by the way, doing that? I don't even know if any clubs in Houston are open.
The audiences have just been fantastic.
Mhm.
They're just there to have fun,
Yeah.
and it really shows.
Wow, that's
awesome.
great.
And I've had a lot of fun doing these shows, and people are just happy to be out and happy to be laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So check. Do you have a website or anything?
ScottyBlanco.com, and that'll take you to all my sites, all my, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my YouTube page, podcast. All that information is on ScottyBlanco.com.
All right. And I'll make sure to put that in the episode description this time. Because that'll take, like you said, that'll take you to everything else. So, check out Scott and all
We
of
say
his.
that every time.
projects and
Before we
podcast. Go ahead.
I know you mentioned you also have. I'm sorry, we're free.
No, yeah.
You also have fan favorites Miguel and Eddie,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
we've talked about getting all five of us
Yes.
to
True.
do the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah. I think what we're going to do is we are going to start 2021 with that episode. That'll be our first episode of the new year.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I will. We'll keep you posted. To all of our fans, this is our first announcement. So what we did was we just did the second Indiana Jones. We just did Temple of Doom. And you had Ed and Miguel on your Dan Aykroyd podcast, correct? For Temple of Doom?
Yes, and we did the Temple of Doom as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it came up on that podcast that Miguel had never seen Raiders, or was it Ed?
It's Miguel.
Of course it's not Ed.
Yeah.
So Bryce has never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, not
seen
Raiders. It's
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, and Miguel has never seen it. So we will be doing that movie,
A double feature.
and we'll have Scott, Ed, and Miguel, all three on the podcast to discuss that one.
Finally.
So look forward to that launching us into
2021.
a year that is not this one.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So that
Great
that
start
wraps it
to
up.
New
And,
beginnings.
Thanks for listening, and until next time,
Nom in space.